Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Pastor Ruben here, and you know that I love great questions. And some of my favorite questions of all come from kids. You know why? Because kids, they're like raw and real and unfiltered in their questions. Over the years when I've collected them, I've actually sorted them into like two buckets, if you will. We've got what I call the regular questions. These are like the light, fun, or funny ones to answer, right? And then we've got what I call extra spicy questions. These are the questions that are a little more heavy, a little more to them, but there's a lot of good stuff to unpack. So, you guys ready to start? Here we go. This is the regular question for the week. This little guy writes this. He says, "Dear God, can you give me a monster truck for my playroom?" Okay, I should explain that when we ask kids for their questions, sometimes they send them to me personally, and sometimes they go directly to God. Sort of like cut out the middleman, right? That was definitely an example of that. In fact, it was kind of like a request dressed up as a question. God, can I get a monster truck for my playroom? Okay, so tell you what, let's imagine together that God said yes to this. What would that look like? Let's watch. Monster truck for my playroom. I mean, it would probably be awesome for about a day. And then you actually got to move around your room or actually get out of the door. And how would you get this out? And would it start leaking oil all over your room and start smelling really bad? I think sometimes we don't really know all of what we're asking for because we can't see the whole picture. And so sometimes hearing the answer no is the answer we need to hear the most. Pretty good. You guys ready for some spice? All right, so this is the extra spicy question of the week. All right, here we go. She writes, "Why were the people who put Jesus on the cross so mad at him?" Ooh, got some spice there for sure. Okay, to answer this question, I got to tell you a story that Jesus told once about a house on the beach. Okay, here we go. He said, once upon a time, there was a person who built their house on the sand. Now, a storm came, right? The wind and the rain, it pounded on the house, and it was just totally annihilated. Right. Total disaster, right? Then he says there's this other person. This person built their house on the rock. The same storm comes, right? Wind and waves pounded on this thing, and it stands strong because it's built on the rock. And Jesus closes by saying, anyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice, they're like a wise person who builds their house on the rock. Well, pretty cool story, but how does it connect with our question? Why were the people who put Jesus on the cross so mad at him? Okay, check this out. They had actually figured out that when Jesus was telling stories like this one, he was talking about them. They were the foolish builders in this story. They had built a fancy beach house for themselves, and a storm was coming, Jesus says, and when it comes through, anything that's not good and true, it's going to fall in on them. And for them, that was too much for them to bear. And so Jesus tells this story. It's like a warning, but also an invitation to build your house, your life, on what is true. Because what is true will always be standing after the storm. Okay, So to close, how about like a bonus question for all of us? Like, what do I do if I figure out that I've been the foolish guy in the story? What can I do then? Well, I've got a few options, right? I could, lash out, kill the messenger, right? I could shut down, or I could slow down. I could listen and learn to ask really great questions like how can I live a better life, a life that lasts? How can I build a house that is strong and built on the rock? Can you see how helpful good questions can be for our lives? Man, we are on a roll now. I can't wait for next week. So I'll be back to answer a fresh, regular, and extra spicy question. All my friends, until then, stay curious and keep asking great questions.